The celestial vault trembles tonight, and across the infinite expanse of cosmos, ancient starlight carries a message that has been 15 years in the making, a cosmic symphony reaching its crescendo as the universe itself prepares to rewrite the destiny of every soul born under the sacred constellation of Virgo. For December 2025 marks not merely the end of a calendar year, but the dawn of an extraordinary epic that will transform struggle into triumph, scarcity into abundance, and uncertainty into unshakable divine purpose, as the very stars align to usher in 15 years of unprecedented peace, prosperity, and spiritual awakening for the children of the Virgin constellation who have waited, endured, and persevered through cycles of testing that were never punishment but preparation for this magnificent moment when heaven and earth converge to crown them with blessings beyond their wildest imagination. The universe has been orchestrating this moment with meticulous precision, weaving threads of destiny through the fabric of time itself, as Jupiter, the great benefactor and bringer of fortune, prepares to form a rare and powerful trine with Saturn in Virgo's 10th house of career and reputation, creating an astrological gateway so profound that it occurs only once in a human lifetime, opening portals of opportunity that will flood every corner of Virgo's existence with golden light, while Mercury, their ruling planet, dances in perfect harmony with Venus and Mars, igniting a cosmic fire that will burn away every obstacle, every doubt, every limitation that has held them back from claiming their rightful place as masters of their own magnificent destiny. For too long, Virgo souls have walked through shadows, their incredible gifts of analysis, intuition, and practical wisdom undervalued by a world that failed to recognize the quiet power of their methodical approach to life, their ability to see solutions where others see only problems, their capacity to build lasting foundations while others chase fleeting trends. But December 2025 brings the cosmic correction that realigns universal justice, as the karmic wheel turns in their favor with such force that 15 years of accumulated blessings will begin to manifest in ways that will leave them breathless with wonder and gratitude. The first wave of this transformation will arrive like dawn breaking over a landscape that has known only night, as Virgo finds themselves suddenly surrounded by opportunities that seem to appear from thin air, yet are actually the result of cosmic forces that have been gathering momentum for over a decade, positioning them at the center of a vortex of abundance where every skill they have quietly developed, every sacrifice they have made, every moment of perseverance through difficult times, now reveals itself as essential preparation for the extraordinary gifts that the universe is about to bestow upon them. In the realm of career and professional achievement, December 2025 initiates a cosmic acceleration that will propel Virgo into positions of influence and authority they may have never dared to imagine possible, as their natural ability to organize chaos into order, to see patterns where others see confusion, becomes not just appreciated but desperately sought after by a world increasingly hungry for their unique brand of practical wisdom and innovative problem-solving capabilities. The alignment of Mars with their 6th house of work and service creates an unstoppable momentum that transforms their daily efforts into vehicles for remarkable success, while Pluto's supportive aspect to their midheaven ensures that any advancement they achieve during this period will have lasting power and continue to generate benefits far into the future. The universe recognizes that Virgo has spent years perfecting their craft in relative obscurity, honing skills with the patience of a master artisan, building knowledge and expertise without fanfare or recognition, and now the cosmic scales tip dramatically in their favor as leaders, innovators, and decision-makers in every field begin to understand that Virgo's methodical approach and attention to detail are exactly what is needed to navigate an increasingly complex world. Promotions will come not as surprises but as inevitable recognitions of capabilities that have been evident to the cosmos long before they became apparent to earthly authorities, and Virgo will find themselves rising to levels of responsibility and influence where their natural gifts can finally operate at full capacity. The financial transformation that accompanies this new era defies conventional understanding of how prosperity manifests, as Virgo discovers that their years of careful budgeting, wise investing, and practical financial management have positioned them perfectly to capitalize on opportunities that will multiply their resources in ways that seem almost magical yet are actually the natural result of cosmic timing aligning with earthly preparation. Jupiter's extended stay in their second house of money and possessions creates a golden umbrella of protection and growth over their financial affairs, ensuring that every dollar earned, every investment made, every financial decision taken during this 15-year cycle will be touched by extraordinary good fortune. The cosmic energies flowing through December 2025 reveal that Virgo's relationship with money and material security undergoes a fundamental transformation, as they move from a mindset of scarcity and careful conservation to one of confident abundance and generous prosperity, not through reckless spending but through the universe opening channels of income and wealth that had previously been invisible or inaccessible to them. Their practical nature ensures that this new prosperity is not squandered but wisely managed and strategically grown, creating foundations of security that will support not only their own dreams but the dreams of those they love. Property investments made during this period will prove remarkably profitable, as Virgo's intuitive understanding of value and potential guides them toward opportunities that others overlook, while their careful research and analysis ensures that every major financial decision is backed by both cosmic timing and earthly wisdom. The universe rewards their patient, methodical approach to building wealth by accelerating the timeline of their financial goals, compressing what might have taken decades into just a few short years of extraordinary growth and accumulation. In the sacred realm of the heart, where love dwells and relationships flourish, December 2025 brings a profound healing and renewal that transforms Virgo's experience of intimate connection from one of cautious protection to one of confident vulnerability and joyful partnership. Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, forms a powerful conjunction with Virgo's 7th house of marriage and committed relationships, creating an energetic field so magnetic and harmonious that it draws into their life individuals whose souls recognize and celebrate the depth of Virgo's capacity for loyalty, devotion, and authentic love. For Virgos who have experienced disappointment or betrayal in past relationships, this new era brings not only healing but a complete rewriting of their romantic story, as the universe introduces them to partners whose appreciation for Virgo's unique qualities creates a foundation for love that grows stronger and more beautiful with each passing year. The cosmic forces at work during this period ensure that any relationship that begins or deepens during these 15 years carries the blessing of divine timing, supported by planetary alignments that promote understanding, communication, and mutual growth. Single Virgos will find that their natural magnetism becomes amplified to extraordinary levels, not through artificial enhancement but through the genuine confidence and inner radiance that emerges when someone finally steps into their true power and purpose, attracting partners who are equally committed to growth, service, and creating something meaningful together. The universe orchestrates meetings and encounters with such precision that Virgo will often feel as though they are living in a romantic fairy tale, yet one grounded in real compatibility, shared values, and genuine mutual respect. For Virgos already in committed relationships, this period brings a renaissance of connection and intimacy, as both partners benefit from the elevated energies surrounding Virgo's transformation, creating space for deeper understanding, renewed passion, and the kind of partnership that becomes a source of strength and inspiration for both individuals. The challenges that may have strained their relationships in the past reveal themselves as opportunities for growth that have actually strengthened the bond between them, preparing them for the beautiful expansion of love and partnership that this new era makes possible. The transformation of family relationships during this period brings healing to wounds that may have persisted for years, as Virgo's enhanced spiritual awareness and emotional maturity create opportunities for understanding and forgiveness that seemed impossible before this cosmic shift. Parents, siblings, and extended family members find themselves drawn to Virgo's newfound sense of peace and purpose, creating harmony where there may once have been conflict and building bridges of communication that enrich every family gathering and celebration. For Virgos who dream of creating their own families, this 15-year cycle brings extraordinary fertility on every level: fertility of creativity, fertility of opportunity, and for those who desire it, the blessing of children who will be born under the protection of these powerful cosmic influences, ensuring that they enter the world surrounded by love, stability, and the promise of a beautiful future. The universe supports Virgo's nurturing instincts by providing the resources, opportunities, and circumstances needed to create the family environment they have always envisioned. The realm of health and vitality experiences a remarkable regeneration during this period, as the cosmic energies flowing through December 2025 activate Virgo's natural connection to healing and wholeness, both for themselves and for others whose lives they touch. Their ruling planet Mercury forms a powerful aspect with Chiron, the wounded healer, creating opportunities for profound healing that addresses not just physical symptoms but the emotional and spiritual roots of any health challenges they may have faced. Virgo's intuitive understanding of the mind-body connection becomes heightened during this period, giving them access to healing modalities and health practices that create dramatic improvements in their energy, vitality, and overall well-being, while their natural inclination toward healthy living is supported by circumstances that make it easier than ever to maintain routines and practices that nourish their body, mind, and spirit. The universe seems to conspire to surround them with healers, practitioners, and health resources that perfectly match their needs and preferences. This enhanced vitality extends beyond the physical to encompass mental clarity and emotional equilibrium that allows Virgo to navigate even complex challenges with grace and wisdom, as their nervous system, which has sometimes been sensitive to stress and overwhelm, becomes remarkably resilient and adaptive, supported by the cosmic energies that strengthen their natural capacity for self-care and stress management. For Virgos called to careers in healing, whether traditional medicine, alternative therapies, counseling, or any form of service that helps others achieve greater wellness, this period brings extraordinary expansion and success, as their enhanced intuitive abilities combine with their practical knowledge to create healing approaches that produce remarkable results, attracting clients and patients who become not just success stories but advocates who help spread Virgo's reputation as a gifted healer and compassionate practitioner. The spiritual awakening that accompanies this new era represents perhaps the most profound aspect of Virgo's transformation, as the cosmic alignments of December 2025 activate dormant spiritual capacities that have been waiting for exactly this moment to emerge into full consciousness, revealing depths of intuition, psychic ability, and connection to divine guidance that surprise even Virgo themselves with their power and accuracy. This spiritual emergence is not dramatic or overwhelming but unfolds with the same gentle precision that characterizes all of Virgo's growth, beginning with subtle increases in synchronicity and intuitive insights that gradually expand into a reliable and profound connection to spiritual guidance that informs every aspect of their decision-making and life direction. They find themselves naturally drawn to spiritual practices, teachers, and communities that support their awakening while honoring their practical nature and need for grounded, applicable wisdom. The development of their psychic abilities during this period follows practical patterns that allow them to integrate these gifts into their daily life in ways that enhance rather than complicate their earthly responsibilities, as they discover that their analytical mind and intuitive awareness work together in perfect harmony, each supporting and validating the other in ways that create extraordinary clarity and confidence in their perceptions and decisions. Dreams become remarkably vivid and prophetic during this period, often providing guidance about important life decisions or early warnings about opportunities and challenges on the horizon, while meditation and quiet reflection yield insights of startling clarity that help them navigate complex situations with wisdom that seems to come from a source far beyond their ordinary thinking mind, yet feels completely natural and accessible. For Virgos who have always felt a calling towards spiritual teaching, healing, or service, this period brings opportunities to step into these roles with confidence and support, as the universe provides training, mentorship, and platforms that allow them to share their gifts with others who are hungry for the particular blend of practical wisdom and spiritual insight that Virgo naturally provides, creating careers and callings that feel more like joyful service than work. The creative renaissance that unfolds during these 15 years reveals artistic and expressive capabilities that Virgo may have suppressed or overlooked in favor of more practical pursuits, yet now emerge with such force and beauty that they cannot be ignored, leading to discoveries of talent in writing, music, visual arts, or other creative fields that add richness and joy to their life while potentially opening entirely new avenues for self-expression and even income. This creative awakening is supported by cosmic influences that enhance their natural eye for beauty, proportion, and harmony, allowing them to create works of art, writing, or other creative expressions that touch others deeply, while providing Virgo with a source of joy and fulfillment that balances their more analytical and service-oriented activities, creating a life of remarkable richness and variety that honors all aspects of their complex and beautiful nature. The universe recognizes that Virgo's creativity has always been present, but perhaps channeled primarily into practical applications like organizing, problem-solving, or improving systems and processes, and now provides opportunities for this creative energy to express itself in more traditionally artistic ways, revealing hidden talents that surprise and delight not only Virgo but everyone who witnesses their artistic emergence. Home and living space undergo remarkable transformation during this period, as Virgo's enhanced prosperity combines with their natural talent for creating beautiful, organized, and harmonious environments to manifest dream homes and living situations that perfectly reflect their evolving sense of self and support their expanding life activities. Real estate opportunities present themselves with such perfect timing that Virgo often feels guided by invisible forces toward properties that offer exactly what they need at prices they can afford. Their intuitive understanding of space, energy, and design creates living environments that become sources of inspiration and peace not only for themselves but for everyone who enters their space, as they discover a natural talent for creating homes that feel like sanctuaries, perfectly organized yet warmly welcoming, beautifully decorated yet practical and comfortable, reflecting their unique ability to balance aesthetics with functionality in ways that create genuine harmony and well-being. The enhancement of their living situation during this period often includes opportunities to live in locations that better support their spiritual and personal growth, whether through moves to areas with better energy, climate, or community, or through the transformation of their current space into something that feels completely new and aligned with their evolving identity and expanded vision for their life. Gardening and connection with nature become sources of particular joy and grounding during this period, as Virgo discovers or rediscovers their deep connection to the earth and growing things, creating outdoor spaces or indoor gardens that provide not only beauty but actual food, herbs, and flowers that support their health and well-being, while connecting them to the cycles of nature that mirror their own cycles of growth and renewal. The expansion of their social circle and community connections during this 15-year period brings individuals into their life whose friendship and support create a network of relationships that feels more like family chosen by the heart than random associations formed by circumstance, as the universe guides them toward people whose values, interests, and spiritual development create natural harmony and mutual support that enhances everyone involved. These new friendships often develop around shared interests in personal growth, spiritual development, creative expression, or service to others, creating communities of like-minded individuals who celebrate and encourage each other's evolution and success while providing practical support and collaboration on projects and activities that make the world a better place through their combined efforts and shared vision. Professional networking during this period leads to associations with individuals whose expertise, resources, and connections create opportunities for collaboration and advancement that would have been impossible to achieve alone, as Virgo's reputation for reliability, integrity, and excellence attracts partners and colleagues who recognize and value these qualities while bringing complementary skills and resources that multiply everyone's potential for success and impact. The leadership roles that naturally emerge during this period allow Virgo to guide and mentor others in ways that feel deeply fulfilling, while creating platforms for their influence and impact to extend far beyond their immediate circumstances, as their natural teaching ability and gift for helping others organize and improve their lives become recognized and sought after by individuals and organizations looking for wise, practical guidance. Their enhanced emotional intelligence and communication skills during this period create remarkable improvement in all their relationships, as they discover new levels of patience, understanding, and skillful expression that allow them to navigate even difficult conversations with grace and effectiveness, often becoming the person others turn to for mediation, counseling, and wise advice about complex interpersonal challenges. The development of their public speaking and presentation abilities reveals natural talents that may have been hidden by past shyness or self-doubt, as the confidence and clarity that emerge during this period allow them to share their knowledge and insights with groups both large and small, often discovering that they have genuine gifts for teaching, training, and inspiring others through both their words and their example. Travel opportunities during this 15-year cycle take on almost magical qualities, as Virgo finds themselves guided to destinations that provide exactly the experiences, insights, and connections needed for their continued growth and expansion, whether through business travel that opens new professional opportunities, spiritual pilgrimages that deepen their connection to sacred wisdom, or adventure travel that reveals previously unknown capacities for courage, adaptability, and joy. These journeys often feel guided by synchronicity and divine timing, with accommodations, transportation, and activities falling into place with such ease that Virgo feels supported by invisible forces that want them to experience the beauty and wonder of the world while learning and growing from encounters with different cultures, landscapes, and ways of being that expand their perspective and enrich their understanding of life's infinite possibilities. International connections and opportunities may emerge during this period, as their enhanced reputation and expanding network create possibilities for work, collaboration, or residence in other countries, opening doorways to experiences that broaden their horizons while utilizing their practical skills and analytical abilities in new and exciting contexts that challenge them to grow while building bridges between different cultures and communities. The study and learning that unfold during this period often involve formal education or certification programs that enhance their professional qualifications while feeding their natural hunger for knowledge and understanding, as the universe provides opportunities for advanced training, graduate degrees, or specialized certifications that position them for even greater success and impact in their chosen fields. Their natural research abilities and love of learning combine with enhanced memory and mental clarity to make this an ideal time for mastering new subjects, learning new languages, or developing expertise in areas that have always interested them but perhaps seemed impractical or impossible to pursue, as circumstances align to provide time, resources, and opportunities for intellectual growth that enriches both their professional capabilities and personal satisfaction. The mentorship they receive during this period often comes from individuals whose wisdom and experience provide exactly the guidance needed for their next level of growth, while their own capacity for mentoring others expands as they recognize the depth of knowledge and insight they have accumulated through their years of careful observation, analysis, and practical application of life's lessons. Publishing, writing, and communication projects that may have been postponed or abandoned in the past find new life and energy during this period, as Virgo's enhanced clarity and confidence combine with improved circumstances to make it possible for them to complete and share creative and educational works that had been waiting for the right time to emerge into the world. The books, articles, courses, or other educational materials they create during this period often become valuable resources for others while providing Virgo with additional streams of income and recognition for their expertise and unique perspective, as their natural ability to break down complex information into clear, practical steps makes them excellent teachers and communicators whose work helps others improve their lives in concrete, measurable ways. Their enhanced technological skills and comfort with digital platforms during this period open up opportunities for online businesses, digital marketing, and virtual collaboration that allow them to reach audiences and create impact far beyond their immediate geographical location, as they discover ways to leverage technology to amplify their natural gifts while maintaining the personal touch and attention to detail that characterizes all their work. The legal and contractual matters that may have been sources of stress or confusion in the past find resolution during this period, often in ways that exceed Virgo's expectations and provide financial or practical benefits they had not dared to hope for, as the cosmic support surrounding their affairs ensures that justice and fairness prevail in all their dealings with others. Any past investments of time, energy, or money that seem to have produced disappointing results begin to pay dividends during this period, as the universe's timing reveals that what appeared to be losses or mistakes were actually seeds planted for future harvest, now ready to produce returns that validate Virgo's patience and faith in long-term thinking and careful planning. The insurance, retirement, and long-term financial planning they undertake during this period benefit from cosmic timing that ensures their decisions are wise and their investments secure, providing peace of mind about the future while creating foundations for continued prosperity and security that will support them through their later years with dignity and comfort. Their reputation and public image undergo a remarkable enhancement during this period, as their consistent integrity, excellent work, and genuine care for others create a personal brand that attracts opportunities and recognition without any need for self-promotion or manipulation. As the universe ensures that their good character and valuable contributions become widely known and appreciated by those who matter most. The recognition they receive during this period often comes in forms that surprise and deeply move them, as colleagues, clients, friends, and family members express appreciation for the ways Virgo's presence and contributions have enriched their lives, creating a sense of fulfillment and purpose that money cannot buy while also opening doors to new opportunities for service and impact. Awards, honors, and formal recognition may come during this period for their professional achievements, community service, or creative contributions, providing external validation for efforts that Virgo has pursued primarily for intrinsic satisfaction while also creating platforms for greater influence and the ability to help even more people through their work and example. The technological innovations and system improvements they develop during this period often become valuable intellectual property that provides ongoing income while helping others work more efficiently and effectively, as their natural gift for seeing how processes can be optimized and streamlined finds expression in ways that benefit entire industries or communities while establishing them as thought leaders and innovators. Their enhanced intuition about market trends, technological developments, and social changes during this period guides them toward investments, career moves, and business decisions that position them ahead of the curve, allowing them to benefit from trends and opportunities before they become obvious to the general public while maintaining the careful, analytical approach that protects them from speculation and risky ventures. The universe celebrates every step of their journey during this period, supporting their efforts with synchronicities, resources, and connections that confirm they are operating in perfect alignment with their highest purpose and greatest good, while also contributing to the collective awakening that will help humanity navigate the challenges and opportunities of this crucial time in planetary history with greater wisdom, cooperation, and success than ever before achieved.